Hello, Mignon. Welcome to this special show. I have a bunch of questions prepared for you. So let's start. First question. I was reading through your statement that came out with the sad announcement of your retirement, where you mentioned that it's time for you to allow the younger generation of players to come in and take the spots that you will leave. I just want to know, what's the thought behind that when you say that you want the younger generation? I mean, I just want you to just talk about it a little bit.
Well, I think for me, the thing is, I've been very fortunate to have played in 4 ODI World Cups, and realistically, with the fact that I want to start a family of my own, I won't be around for the next 50 over World Cup. So that's another 4 years from now, and I'm already 32, turning 33. So with that in mind, I just thought maybe the time is right to. We've seen that there's a lot of young talent in South Africa, and they need to get some exposure to play at international level. And I'm really excited. I think I felt like the time is right. I think ending on a high at a World Cup like we did this year, I think it was our best World Cup thus far. And yeah, I've got some amazing memories. And for now, I just want to spend a little bit more time at home. The past year has been quite tough. I think about in 8 months, I only probably was home for a month in total. And yeah, it's tough. So I think for me now, I just want to, and with the T20, it will allow me to just go in for the T20 part of the tournament and then come back in between. So there'll be a little bit of break so I can see the family in between, which at the stage where I'm at in my life, I think that's what I'm excited about now.
So you talked about T20 cricket. So you are still going to be part of the T20 setup. You are already signed up for the 100. You have played the WBPL. There's an IPL in talks also. There's a CPL in talks also. So I just want to know, like, what are your aspirations there? Do you want to become sort of like the first? Because in men's cricket, we have seen it quite often. You know, players becoming the freelance T20 players who play across the globe. So is that the aspiration that you have now?
Yeah, that can be something. It sounds exciting. I know the women's IPL has been on the cards for a few years, so I don't want to get my hopes up too high, but it'd be awesome to be part of a first women's IPL. And I also saw in the media about the CPL, and hopefully that is something that will happen really soon. So I've, like you mentioned, I've signed with Trent Rockets this year for the 100, and I still have another year left with the Hobart Hurricane. So excited about that. And yeah, if there's a few other tournaments where I can be a part of, I'm also going to play in the Fairbreak Global Tournament that's going to happen soon at the end of the month in Dubai. So really excited about that. That's the first of its kind. So yeah, I think there's a lot of exciting things in the T20 aspect of the game. So hopefully, who knows, if there's an opportunity to freelance a little bit, that might be ideal.
You spoke about the IPL, and it's there in the making for a few years now. So do you watch the men's IPL, or do you have a favorite franchise, and franchise do you want to be part of if they have a team?
Yeah, I think I've always loved watching the RCB, Royal Challengers Bangalore. I think it's quite obvious with Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers that played there. They were definitely some of the favourites. And I know Chris Morris has been there, and Faf du Plessis is currently the captain. So Dale Steyn played for them. So it's quite a few South Africans and then some of my favourite Indian players. So I think if there's an opportunity, I wouldn't mind playing for them. But yeah, unfortunately, we sometimes don't always get time. We were away with the start of the IPL, so it was with the time difference, we missed quite a few. But at the moment, if I'm at home in the afternoon and it starts, it's always good to have it on in the background and follow closely. But it's awesome, and hopefully the women's IPL will get the same traction.
The RCB franchise do love South Africans because they had AB de Villiers for a long time. Then they said, "Oh, he's gone, so we'll get his best friend out and to captain us."
Yeah, that sounds good. So that's pretty awesome. So I think that would be a good fit.
So you started your career a long back ago, and you are one of those players who was part of the sort of the amateur era of women's cricket, and now the game has grown in a way. It allows a lot of professionalism to seep into women's game, which is good for the growth of the game. How would you describe the changes back in the day, and how has the setup changed how is it helping more opportunities from perspective of somebody who has seen it all? I just wanted to know a bit more.
I think from the amateur era, I mean, when I started my career in 2007, we basically maybe did 1 tour a year where we played 3 ODIs and that was about it. So that's definitely changed. We're on the road more often than not at the moment. And in between where we're not playing for South Africa, we've got the wonderful opportunity to be part of the T20 Leagues around the globe. So basically we play cricket all year around, which is very special. And ever since Momentum got on board and we've started with professionalizing cricket in South Africa and have 15 contracted players, I think the best thing that I've seen is players now have time to focus on cricket only. I think in the past, a lot of the players had to juggle life, making a living out of cricket and then just playing cricket for fun. But with that also comes a lot of responsibilities and accountability. Obviously, the more professional you get, the expectations increase. It is now your job, so people want you to perform. So I think that's one of the things, the pressures of high performance all the time. There's obviously a lot more focus on strength and conditioning, a lot of fitness testing. So there's a lot more, and I think from a coaching point of view, in the past we maybe had one coach and a manager, where now it's grown to where you take a massage therapist onto it, and maybe a team doctor and a manager and a security liaison officer. So we've got quite the full spread, and I think that's also part of how the women's game has professionalized.
I'll take you a bit back in your career. There's a knock that you played, knock of 250 odd, I guess, when you were 13-year-old. I just want our viewers to know a bit more about that, because the numbers, when I saw the numbers, it was staggering, to think. And this is like 15, 20 years back, not even like today. Today, somebody plays a knock like that, we still kind of, are okay with it. 15, 20 years back, it was just unthinkable. So just talk me through that whole day and the experience of, smashing the ballers all around the park.
Yes, I think it's actually this year marks 20 years, because it was in my grade 7 years, so it was in 2002.
Yeah.
And the funny story was I was actually not supposed to play in that game. I got phoned the night before because it was a provincial match between Gauteng North, which I represented, on the 13 girls team, and we played against Gauteng. And they actually missed a player, and they phoned me the night before to say, can you actually come and help out tomorrow morning? And I must say, when I woke up, I felt like this is the day I wanted to bat. I just thought and I can't really remember much of the game. I just know there was something like 16 sixes and 28 fours. And it was just one of those days where everything clicked. And I probably saw the ball as a beach ball, and whatever I wanted to do, I managed to do it. It was quite special. And it's something that I'll treasure for a lifetime.
Did you have a party that night? Just because the way you smashed
I was young. I was only 13 years old. I think I was pretty tired having to spend all that time batting for 40 overs. It was a 40 over game back then, so it wasn't even a 50 over game. But yeah, it was a 96 ball. So I think at least there was probably more boundaries than running. But I think that night I probably, if I know me, I probably had a dessert to treat myself, because I've got a sweet tooth. So that is probably what I've done back then. Maybe had a milkshake to celebrate.
Yeah, obviously, like if you could hit as many as sixes that you did that day, why would you run? What's the point of running anyway?
No, I just said, why bother if you can hit it? But I think unfortunately, in the modern era, the boundaries has gotten a little bit bigger. So you need a little bit more power to clear it now. Otherwise, you're going to have to run a lot.
So I'll tell you, I'll be very honest and blunt over here, that my first memory of watching a South African women's team was when I think you were still the captain, and I was a bit young to remember everything about cricket from the analytical point of view. But is it? Will it be rude to say South African team wasn't as good back in the day as they are today? But there has been an evolution.
It maybe sound rude, but it is quite accurate. I definitely think we've improved tremendously over the recent. It's probably from 2017. I think that was where we saw the big turn in South African women's cricket back home.
Yeah, so I just want to understand, because I feel it's quite legendary, the fact that South Africans, somebody watching today will say, oh, South Africa has developed into a good side for with players. But most of the players who are playing today and are the top performers of the team, say Marizan Kaap, Dane van Niekerk, you, Chloe Chan, all of you were there in that tough phase. So to see through all of that and now become probably one of the best sides in the world, without a doubt, how do you describe that evolution and how does it make you feel?
Yeah, I think the evolution also has to do a lot with probably two things. One was the ICC that announced that women's championship where all the teams got to play against everyone in the 4 years leading up to the World Cup. So I think that was one of the big things. We played a lot more competitive cricket. I think in the past, we only managed to maybe play, like I mentioned, we played 3 ODIs, and it was usually probably against a team that was more often seen as the bottom 4. So Pakistan, Sri Lanka, West Indies, we actually only played against each other, and we never got to play against Australia, New Zealand, India. So I think that was one of the biggest changes, is we got to play competitive cricket more often. And the second thing is, I think if we look back since about 2015, the Women's Big Bash started, and I think we were quite fortunate that we had between probably 6 to 10 players at different times during that era that played in Women's Big Bash. And I think that's probably where we got the opportunity to see what high performance is like in the country where cricket is currently the best. So I think a big thing for us was that quite a few of our players got the experience, and they could bring that back and bring that into the setup, and they all evolved as players. And and with that, like we mentioned, becoming more professional, you had a lot more time in the past, so you just played and trained for fun, where now you can do it every day of the week. We've got a program from a strength and conditioning point of view, so I think the girls are a lot stronger, a lot faster. So all of that definitely played a big role in the evolution of the game.
Like, having seen your career a fair bit, I couldn't watch it, but one of my finest memories would be that century that you scored in the test in Mysore, I think it was. There is a test match this year, and you announced your retirement just before that. Was there any temptation to, play that test match? Because it's been a while, 8 years now. So was there a temptation?
Yes, it did go through my mind, but I think where I'm at, I felt like I don't have the patience for that anymore. Playing a lot of T20 cricket over the past few years, it's such a short and quick format. I actually kind of felt like even the 50-over game, sometimes I just wanted to come in and get going from ball one. So there is a danger to that. And you know what? I've got a very special memory from my first test, and the only test I've played. I managed to score my maiden 100. And I thought, well, why not finish while I'm on top, So no regrets, but I'm really excited to see that. Somebody like Laura Wolfhard, she just loves batting. So for her to be able to do that probably for 4 days, I can't wait to watch her play. And there's quite a few of the other youngsters that wasn't part of the team 8 years ago when we played in the test match. And I think it's time for them to get that opportunity too.
Talking about test cricket and ODI cricket, I just want to know, what is your fondest memory of your ODI career, and also the Bradman test career that you had? 1 test, 1 century work. So what is your fondest memory?
Yeah, I think that's probably, there's only one thing that I can say about the test matches. The fondest and the best memory was making my maiden test 100. That was quite special. And then from an ODI point of view, wow, I think there's quite a few moments. If I start from a recent point of view, I think that player of the match performance against India in that game, the last group game for us, that was probably one of a special knock for me in recent times. And then I've had to take it back. I think in the previous semi-final in 2017,
you broke 1 billion hearts that day. Did you know that?
I'm sorry. It wasn't. Unfortunately, that's cricket. Some days you win, some days we lose, and I've also been on the losing side quite enough time to know the pain that you guys went through. So, but sorry about that to all the Indian fans. And then in 2017, I managed to score that 76 runs in the semi-final, and also just getting into that was our first semi-final to get into that. And then obviously, I think special memories was my first 100. I scored my first 100 against Bangladesh, and then managed to score a second one against Ireland. yeah, so I think that's, and then there was one other special knock. I think that's probably one of the highlights of my career was just after I've been dropped for the first time against India. The next game up, because I got a duck in the first game, got dropped for the second game, and then something happened. A player got injured, and I actually got an opportunity to play in the last game. And I scored 90 odd runs not out against India to take us over the line. And I think we also chased 270 or something. So it was quite a significant chase. And that after being dropped for the first time and not really knowing how to deal with it back then, that was probably one of my proudest moments in the ODI career.
Yeah, I said you broke a billion hearts, but I was just hoping, let Mignon score some runs, because I remember you weren't getting a lot of runs in the first part of the tournament, but against West Indies, you looked quite solid. You were looking quite solid, and then the rain came. So I was like, let her score runs, but let South Africa lose. Come on. But
thanks for that. I'm saying, it was definitely a tough first part of the World Cup. Obviously, leading up, we had such a successful 2 years, and I felt like I had played a big role in our success against India last year and against the West Indies, and then not managing to get over and scoring like double figures in the first few games in the World Cup was quite tough, I think. But I was very fortunate that I had the support of the whole team and management, and everybody just kept on backing me, and family back home just said, you know what, just push through. You such a good player. Runs is somewhere around the corner. It has to come. Just say, keep on doing what you can do. And I think for me, actually, what was quite special then was I decided that if I'm going to score runs, something I can control is my fielding, and that's something where I can bring a lot of energy. I can take a moment of brilliance, take a special catch like I did against Australia, and actually just play with a smile on my face and enjoy it, because at that time I knew that it was closer to the end. I know that the fans and you guys weren't aware about the circumstances of me stepping away from the ODI game, but I kind of knew that the end is near, and I just needed to make sure that even though if I'm not scoring runs, that I'm at least going to enjoy this last tour and make sure that I play with a smile on my face, and that I bring energy, and that when I walk away, that people would remember me for me as a person first, probably, and then Mignon the cricketer. Definitely I have some fond memories finishing the tournament on a high.
Your personality is something that people do talk about, because I remember I was talking to my colleague upstairs, and he said, "Oh, you're going to have a lot of fun with Mignon because she has a lovely personality." And I was watching a few videos. I thought, this person is really good, apart from being a good cricketer.
Thank you.
So I just want to know one more thing, because you spoke about starting a family. Last year, PCB introduced a parental policy, which something that has not been adopted by all the boards across the globe. Do you also think it should be sort of made a norm now moving ahead? Because it's great for the growth of women's cricket, and it also allows a bit more freedom to cricketers to step away from the game and then come back when they want and when they feel they're ready.
Definitely. I think it is something that more boards have to take on board. I think it is something that our Cricketers Association are in discussions with CSA about, but there's not something in place just yet. And I would hate for other players. I hope the next generation can have a family and play, and that you can step away for a while. I think it was brilliant to see that Amy Satterwhite and Leah Tahu managed to do that, and how New Zealand backed them, and also Basma Maroof recently with her baby with her on tour. That's quite special, and I think even Megan Schutt had her family with her. So it's nice to see that there is boards that is in full support of female players starting a family. I know it's a little bit different, like in men's cricket. I mean, it's the wife that carries the baby, so they just have to go away for a short period of time, where in cricket, if the female is carrying the baby, it's definitely going to take you out of the game for longer, because just of the dangers of being hit by a ball or falling on your belly. So I definitely do understand that it's different, but I think some of the boards have done really well to implement a policy where the player then can kind of take an admin role or an advisory role or be a mentor and still be in the space, but maybe just not in a playing capacity.
It was just lovely talking to you. And before I leave you, I just want to say one thing. After the match against India, you in the press conference, you did say thanks to Jhulan and Mithali for doing what they did for women's game. I guess it works for you as well. Thanks a lot for a brilliant career that you have had. Because it's important for women out there to see some personalities like you. And as you said, your personality should be remembered. And I promise you that it will be the case that it's going to be your personality is going to shine out. The numbers and everything, just nobody remembers. It's your personality and the person you are that people will remember. Before I leave, just if you have any message for young girls out there in South Africa or globally, if you had a message for them, what would that be?
Yeah, I think please go out there and follow your dream. If your dream does not scare you, it's not big enough. So you must definitely have a big dream. And obviously I know it's tough sometimes. The cricket world, people do think it's a boys' sport, but go out there and be the change that you want to see in the world of women's cricket. Make a difference, and most importantly, never forget to do it with a smile on your face.
Thank you so much, Mignon. It was lovely chatting with you. Hope we get to talk sooner once again. And all the best for the journey that is ahead of you now. And hope I talk to you again.
Thanks, Akash. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time too. I appreciate it.
And thanks for
Have
your
a good day.
Time,
Bye.
Have a good day. Have a good day. Thank you.